Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do the usual disclaimers, in the description box, you are going to find, if you are unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or the campaign against the troubled teen industry, right inside there, please in particular take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so called behavioral modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic refused, so you know the drill. Please read the article. Share it on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement in regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC actually sees through with their threat. Trigger warning 1. When we talk about places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you can hear vivid descriptions of, catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones. Trigger warning 2, this channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and speak on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching this, very obviously parental supervision is advised. Now, back to where we left off, but before we do, I apologize for my disappearing voice. It's been one of those days at work. All right. In particular, these resident records are anecdotal and do not amount to study data. Thank you. They're literally observations of what the person thinks is going on, which you have to take with a grain of salt when you're dealing with an neurodivergent person as compared to a neurotypical, okay? The information was collected by JRC, which did not take measures to minimize the impact of subjectivity and potential bias. In other words, again, if it is your ass being held to the fire, you can't hold up a paper and scream and see, I did this study and it says I'm right. Okay? Jeez. Important measure its employees did not take include to have an investigational plan and study protocol, running an analysis to demonstrate scientific soundness, validating methodology and endpoints, and selecting qualified investigators. In other words, a true study would be done by a completely objective party who has zero dogs in the fight, right? And it also needs to be able to put under the same scrutiny as every other medical device or medication out there. That should go without saying, but here we are, right? JRC also planned to implement features designed to minimize confounding factors and other types of bias, such as the control group blinding and randomization, the importance which are discussed in the proposed rule, and in the responses to other comments. In other studies, usually it's with individuals that the researcher has no personal ties to, so that there's no bias there. The JRC are working with these students day in and day out. Because of that, there would be no objectivity, okay, in regards to the anecdotes that they record. These records also suffer from the limitations that apply to extremely small studies. Although in 2016, JRC submitted case studies for 68 residents and has applied the devices to close to 300 individuals over the years, including about 51 then subject to the devices, We consider these data to be 68 individual resident summaries, not a single study including all residents, because the records do not show, for example, that conditions were controlled across individuals or subgroups of individuals. So this is kind of straightforward, and it looks like this is going to be a relatively short video here. It's essentially saying even for a small case study, it's not meeting the protocols that it would need to meet in order to be considered something that could be taken seriously. Right? You can't just say, see, this is my study. Look, here, my chart says that I just made that I'm right. So you got to take that seriously. It is the circle jerk of clown car rejects. I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just like it's a circular mind fuck from hell. Okay? It's pretty straightforward there. That study was not done by objective individuals that had no ties to the JRC whatsoever. It was not held up to the same study in clinical studies, even within small case groups, and the protocols that they go under. Nor was it published by any reputable magazine that is worth its salt. That's because it is pseudoscience at its worst. Okay? So it's very easy here to see why the FDA essentially just is sighing with that heavy soul shuddering sigh, having to go over the same arguments again and again and again. You cannot submit your own study that you did in order to defend yourself, because the confirmation bias is inherent. It's in your best interest. Now, let's put also in the hat the fact that Dr. Matthew Israel has been known to doctor shit and make evidence disappear on multiple occasions. This is well within public knowledge. So, no, we cannot trust this man. We cannot trust this study. And I'm glad the FDA is just saying, you quit asking. It doesn't matter how you word it, the answer is always going to be no. We're going to go ahead and close out on that. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few we do get tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I appreciate your time. And as always, folks, we here at Smelling Tea hope you have a good one. I'll see you again in a minute.